for making it to breakfast this morning. Who was at breakfast? And wasn't it wonderful not to have to cook it? It's just fantastic. You know what's the worst is when you go back home and the next day, your first day of waking up, and there's no breakfast ready and there's no coffee. I just want you to warn you all, I went to Starbucks this morning, and I have a quad espresso over ice, which is normal, which is that 4 shots of espresso over ice, which some people think it's a lot, but hey, it's not 5 shots. So then I went to the breakfast, and they have 2 things of, and I got 2 things of coffee because I couldn't decide which blend to get. And I thought I already gave Starbucks so much money there, and now here I have free Starbucks coffee. So then I got both of them, and I thought I would just sip on them, but then as I was talking, I drank it all. So I was praying with someone, and I started feeling like really sweaty, and I'm like, it's not that warm in here, but I think I have like caffeine problems. Okay, why I'm here now is not to discuss my caffeine intake with you, or even to start our thing because we haven't really officially started yet. This is a pre-announcement announcement. I wanted to see how you guys were doing with your social media Instagram shots. I performed a PowerPoint with some of the photos, but we didn't get it done in time to get it up on the screen. But there are some really good photos on there, and we'll try to do that for tonight to show you some of the photos that you guys are taking throughout the conference. But it's really neat. The ice cream line was really long last night. Were you all in the ice cream line? Was the ice cream worth it? It was. That is good to know. I will be in the ice cream line at some point today.
And before we moved here, I had someone pull me aside and said, when you're here at Calvary, there's 2 people I want you to meet, 2 girls that I just think that you will be blessed by. And Lisa was one of those girls. And as God would have it, we were involved in a year-long Bible study together, and I came to know her story. And we still keep in touch via text mostly, to have prayer requests, updates of each other's lives, and we are so blessed. You will be blessed by Lisa's story, and so I want you to join me in welcoming Lisa.
Well, as Joni said, my name's Lisa, and I'll give you a little background of me. I have grown up at Calvary. My family has gone here for 24 years. My mom is on staff and works in reception. My husband I dated in high school, and we are now married 10 and a half years, and he works in facilities. We have 4 boys that are crazy, but I love them. They are 9, 8, 5, and 3, and yes. So you can pray for my husband. He's by himself this weekend. A little bit of my testimony kind of goes over what we're learning this weekend of God's shelter. And I experienced that at 25 and 26. My husband and I had been married a few years. Ethan was about a year and a half, and we gave birth to our second child, which was a girl. We named her Lauren Grace, and she was perfect. She had blue eyes, gorgeous. Anyone that saw her, lots of black hair. I loved it. Did all her hair up. It was great. And she completed our family. So shortly after having her, I noticed stuff just seemed to be a little different with her, but her pediatrician and another doctor just said girls are a little different. There was nothing life that they saw, anything that was out of the ordinary. So we took it and we just prayed and walked forward. And it wasn't until she was about 3 months old that I noticed one morning she had turned purple. So we had rushed her to an ER, and shortly after they came back out and said she was having seizures and asked if we had epilepsy in the family. We didn't. And they asked if she had a high temperature. She didn't. So they said they were going to keep her overnight. She was responding to the meds, and they would do some more tests and get back with us. So the next day when we met with the doctors, all the tests came back, and they were abnormal. And they didn't really know what to tell us, but she was responding to the meds, so take her home, and we'll go from there. And stuff was really good for about a month, and no seizures. The meds were working great, and one morning they came back, and they came back so bad. By the time we got her to the ER, she almost wasn't breathing. And, sorry. They came out and they told us they had to sedate her. And we thought they just, gave her enough meds. And we later learned that meant they put her on life support. And as a mom watching my 4-month-old and seeing machines and wires and the doctors not knowing what was going on, it was the scariest and empty feeling that I could do nothing. And she stayed like that for about 3 weeks. And after speaking with the doctors and they brought in specialists, we all had determined we were going to transfer her down to Miami. And anyone that goes to Calvary, we lived right down the street from Calvary, being transferred to South Miami was difficult. And to be honest, I hated the drive in the beginning. We were blessed if we got an hour each way. Some days it was 2 hours each way, depending on Miami traffic. And but I learned to end up loving the drives. That was the time God really got my attention, and I couldn't do anything but listen to him. And he used that time. And even being down in Miami, on life support, they rarely let me get her out of her bed. So a lot of the time I had free time just to sit with her, pray with her, and I got to read my Bible a lot. And I thought he was going to show me something that I hadn't read in the Bible before that would be a revelation to me, but he actually brought me to 3 verses that I remember growing up reading. And the first one was Joshua 1:9. And it says, "Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord thy God is with you wherever you go." And that summed up me most of the time. I was scared. I was so discouraged because the doctors, some of them did not have a bedside manner, and it was difficult to be around some of them. And I knew that was God just saying, let go of it, and you're going to have to trust me for the rest of it. And so, and then he led me to Jeremiah 31:3. And it says, "Have I not loved you with an everlasting love? I have drawn you with an unfailing kindness." And I knew God loved me, but in the midst of all the pain and the confusion, and even at times I would get so mad, I needed him to tell me that he loved me that much, and that I knew he loved her. So, and then my last one, which I think is by far my favorite Bible verse, because it is, I've read it 100 times, but each time I get something different out of it, and it's Romans 8:28. And it says, "We know that all things work together for good for those who love God and called according to his purpose." And the first time I read that, the word all jumped at me so boldly that I was like, okay, you mean all. You didn't mean some, you didn't mean a little bit, you meant all. And I knew we were called according to his purpose, so it just meant I had to be still. And so those verses got me through some very, very difficult months. And after 14 weeks, oh geez, not months, 14 weeks of going back and forth to Miami, they sent her home, which if they would have let me, I would have thrown a massive party, but they told me I couldn't. And this time, though, we came home with nursing because she did have some apnea from her seizures, and I was not comfortable being there by myself if something were to happen. And we were blessed with amazing nurses, and one of them even, God blessed us with, her day nurse came here. And she was the most amazing woman and was always so encouraging to me. And I knew God brought her in my life just at the right moment to get me through some tough times, because she had been nursing a while, and just the encouragement she was, and just everything she brought to me. She was just such a stability. And I needed that, because at 16 months, the Lord called her home, which was very earth-shattering for me, because even though they told me it might be fatal, I didn't think it would be. And I remember going to bed that night thinking I would wake up the next morning and it would just be like a nightmare. And I didn't. I woke up and it was my life. And I woke up and I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to read my Bible. I just wanted to hibernate and disappear. And God blessed me with an amazing husband that wouldn't let me do it. And he told me, this is going to make you bitter, or you're going to let God make you better. And I had a choice. It wasn't what God allowed. I had a choice. I was going to be bitter over losing her, or I was going to let it make me better. And then God sent half a Calvary Chapel into my living room, which is very hard to ignore when you have everyone in there. And so I knew he was speaking to me so amazingly that he was not going to let me run and hide, because that's what I wanted to do. And then even some nights, those verses that I had prayed and cried and yelled and all the things I was frustrated with would come back. And I knew that he was with me and he had a plan. And the next few months were hard, and sometimes it still is. And I'll never forget, Pastor Stefan was doing a teaching, and part of his announcement was about 4 kids. And he was talking about there were 12 kids sleeping on a concrete floor. And our hearts broke. And so we really prayed about it. And then we went and sought counsel from a pastor. And 6 months later, God led us into having a 2-year-old boy placed in our house. And he was the most amazingly crazy child I had ever seen. But God sent him to us because he was brokenhearted because his mom was not in the picture. He was sad because she left, and I know he was mad because he couldn't see her. And I think I was going through the same kind of stuff. And God let us heal together. And I finally saw the end of Romans 8:28, that Sean had been part of it. And walking through that, I know if Lauren would have been here, Sean wouldn't be with us. And I know that I get to see her again. It's just not now. And in the meantime, she has 3 brothers she'll get to meet. And I learned so much walking through that. It was the worst 16 months of my life. But I wouldn't have traded it for anything. It bonded my husband and I closer and taught me that he's just this rock and leader that I needed. It showed me that Jesus carried me, because when I couldn't walk through every step of it, and it truly showed me my church body was the hands and feet of Christ when I didn't want anything around me. And it forever altered my life and showed me, even in my darkest moments, he gave me hope. And the hope I might not have always saw at the time, but it was there. And he turned my tragedy into something beautiful, that I still get to talk about her, and I have 4 amazing kids and a husband that's been such an amazing support and leader, and he's just walked us through it. So I just want to encourage you that even through like our darkest stuff, God's there with us. He's never left us, even when we kind of feel him being silent. I learned that was him just wanting me to be still, which is hard for me. But when I was still, I heard his voice very loudly. So I hope it encouraged you guys, and have a blessed week.
In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. And when I am alone, oh, when I am alone, when I am alone, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. And when I come to die, oh, when I come to die, when I come to die, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. Tú eres mi fuerza y mi poder, el gran tesoro que busqué. Eres mi todo, Dios. Perla de precio sin igual, nunca tu amor podré dejar. Eres mi todo, Dios. You are my strength when I am weak. You are the treasure that I seek. You are my all in all. Seeking you as a precious jewel, Lord, to give up I'd be a fool. You are my all in all. Sing Jesus. Jesus.